Hi, this is Ike from Groovy Entertainment. Today we're gonna record play for you. Today record Snow White and Rose Red. So let's get started.
Snow White and Rose Red. A poor widow once lived in a little cottage with a garden in front of it, in which grew two rose trees, one bearing white roses and the other red. She had two children who were just like the two rose trees. One was called Snow White and the other was called Rose Red. And they were the sweetest and the best children in the world, always diligent and always cheerful. But Snow White was quieter and more gentle than Rose Red. Rose Red loved to run about the fields and meadows and to pick flowers and catch butterflies. But Snow White stayed at home with her mother and helped her with housework, or read aloud to her when there was no work to be done. The two children loved each other very dearly, and always walked about hand in hand whenever they went out together. And when Snow White said,
"We will never desert each other."
Rose Red answered,
"Not as long as we live."
and the mother added,
"Whatever one gets, she shall share with the other."
The girls often roamed about in the woods gathering berries, and no beast tried to hurt them. On the contrary, they came up to them in the most confiding manner. The little rabbit would eat a cabbage leaf from their hands. The deer grazed beside them, and the birds remained on the branches and sang to them with all their might. No evil ever befell them. If they stayed late in the wood and night overtook them, they lay down together on the moss and slept till morning. And their mother knew they were quite safe and never worried about them. Once, when they had slept the night in the wood and had been wakened by the morning sun, they saw a beautiful child in a shining white robe sitting close by. The figure got up, looked at them kindly, but said nothing and vanished. And when they looked around, they became aware that they had slept quite close to a precipice, over which they would certainly have fallen had they gone on a few steps further in the darkness. When they told their mother of their adventure, she said,
"You must have seen the angel that guards good children."
Snow White and Rose Red kept their mother's cottage so clean and neat that it was a pleasure to go into it. In summer, Rose Red looked after the house, and every morning before her mother awoke, she placed a bunch of flowers before the bed. In winter, Snow White lit the fire and put on the kettle, which was made of brass, but so beautifully polished that it shone like gold. In the evening, when the snowflakes fell, their mother said,
"Snow White, go and close the shutters."
and then they drew round the fire, while the mother put on her spectacles and read aloud from a big book, and the two girls listened very attentively. One evening, as they sat cozily together, there was a knock at the door.
Rose Red, open the door quickly. It must be a traveler seeking shelter.
Yes, Mother. Oh, Mother! Mother, it's a bear.
Yes, I am a bear, but don't be frightened. I won't hurt you. I only want to come in to get out of the snow and cold and wish to warm myself.
Poor bear, come right in and lie down by the fire. Snow White and Rose Red, come over here. The bear will do you no harm. He is a good, honest creature.
Both girls came out of their hiding places, and gradually they forgot their fear. The bear asked the children to brush the snow out of his fur, and they fetched a brush and scrubbed him until he was dry. Then the children became more at ease with their guest and began to play games with him. They tugged at his fur and jumped on his back and tickled him.
Oh, girls, spare me!
That is...
Spare me!
Girls, enough. It is time for bed. Now hurry on. As for you, Bear, you can sleep by the fire. No one should be out in the cold and wet.
When the dawn broke the next morning, the children let the bear out, and he trotted off into the wood. From that time on, the bear came every evening at the same time to lie down by the fire and let the two girls play games with him. This continued through the entire winter, and when spring came and the outside world was turning green, the bear spoke to Snow White.
Now I must go away and not return again until after the summer.
But where are you going to? I thought you liked it here.
I do, but I must go to the wood to continue my search for a wicked dwarf. In winter, when the earth is frozen hard, the dwarfs have to remain underground, for they can't work their way through and spy about and steal what they can. Once they go back to their caves, it is very difficult to find them. And I must would like you to have.
Why, it's a little bone whistle with a string.
Yes, tie it around your wrist. It's not an ordinary whistle. Blow it.
Wait, it doesn't make a sound.
Not to human ears, but to a bear, it's a sharp and clear signal. And if you're ever in danger, Snow White, please use it and I will come.
Goodbye, Bear.
Goodbye.
A short time after this, the mother sent the two sisters into the forest to gather some dry wood for their fire. As they reached a short rise, they saw off in the distance something jumping up and down on a fallen tree. They thought it might be a small animal, and so they went toward it. When they drew near, they saw that it was a dwarf with a wrinkled face and a white beard over a yard long, which was caught in the cleft of a tree. He was jumping up and down, trying to get loose, and when he saw the girls approach, he became very angry.
What are you girls staring at? Can't you come and help me?
What happened, little man?
You silly goose. I wanted to split this tree so that I could get little wood chips for my fire. We don't use giant logs like you huge people. I had just driven in a wedge and all was going well, but the wood was slippery and the wedge slipped out and the tree closed so quickly that it caught my beautiful white beard. So here I am stuck fast, and you two sillies can do nothing but stare.
Oh, don't be so angry, Mr. Dwarf. We are going to try to help you. Rosette, let's try and pry open this wood. I'm trying. We can't get the beard out. We'll have to go and call somebody.
Don't call anybody. You are already too many. Can't you think of anything else?
Don't be so impatient. Oh, I just remembered that I have a little scissors in my pocket. That will do the job.
Be careful. Don't cut off too much of my lovely beard.
Now, you free dwarf.
Now let me take my bag of gold, which I left here, and I will be off. My beard. They cut my beard.
The dwarf soon disappeared, and the girls went on with their work. A few weeks later, Snow White and Rose Red were off to the lake to do some fishing. As they approached the water, they saw something that looked like a giant grasshopper that was springing toward the water. They ran forward and recognized their old friend, the dwarf.
Dwarf, where are you going to? You are surely not going to jump into the water.
You silly girl. Don't you see that a fish has caught my beard and won't let go? It happened while I was dozing by the side of the lake, and my beard trailed into the water.
The dwarf was clinging with all his might to every blade of grass, but it didn't help him much, and he was in great danger of being pulled into the water. The girls held him firmly, but they could not loosen the fish's grip on the beard. Nothing remained but to produce the scissors and again cut the beard, sacrificing the smallest portion possible. When the dwarf saw what they had done, he was very angry.
You call that manners, you silly fools? Didn't you shorten my beard once before? You're trying to make me look like a fool.
The dwarf only paused to pick up a sack of pearls that he had dropped in the grass, and he was off into the wood. A few days later, the two sisters were sent to town to buy some needles and thread. Their road ran alongside a meadow which was strewn with boulders. Off in the distance, they could see a big bird circling and circling, and then it made a rapid descent toward one of the rocks. They heard a cry for help. The sisters ran forward to see what was happening. To their amazement, they found an eagle attacking their old friend, the dwarf. The girls seized hold of the dwarf and dragged him away from the eagle, who was trying to carry him off. The eagle soon gave up the struggle to the two brave girls and flew away.
Couldn't you girls have treated me more carefully? You have torn my thin little coat to shreds. You girls will be the end of me.
Only pausing to pick up a bag of precious stones he had dropped in the struggle, the dwarf went on his way. The girls were used to the dwarf's ingratitude, and so they went to town and did their business. On their way home, as they were passing the meadow again, they came upon the dwarf sitting between two rocks, weighing his precious stones in his hands and chortling to himself.
Pretty stones. All mine. What is it? Oh, it's you devilish girls again. You teach you to spy on me? Let me get my hands on you.
The girls turned to flee with the wicked dwarf in pursuit. Being bigger, the girls were able to keep their distance, but then Snow White stumbled over a rock. She fell, and Rose Red quickly helped her to stand. But now the dwarf was almost upon them. So the nimble Rose Red led Snow White to a nearby tree and gave her a boost up into the branches. She herself quickly followed her sister up into the tree and broke off a young branch to ward off the dwarf who was vainly trying to climb the tree.
You can't stay up there forever, and I'll be waiting for you when you come down.
Oh, what shall we do? If I hadn't stumbled, we would have gotten away. It hurts in Snow White. My wrist. I must have sprained it when I fell. Oh, let me see. What is this tied to your wrist? It's a bow whistle that the bear gave me before he went. Let's use it. Maybe somebody will hear it and come for us. What does it really work? No sound comes from it. Here, you try. All right. You're right, nothing comes out. What shall we do?
Ah, Bear! Where did you come from? No, don't take me. You're my treasure. Here are some of my precious stones, and there are many more in my cave. It's those girls in the tree. They are the wicked ones.
But the bear paid no attention to his words and kept advancing towards the dwarf. The dwarf turned to run, but in his haste, he ran directly into one of the boulders and was knocked unconscious. The bear stooped over the dwarf, put his paw under his neck, and pulled off a magic amulet which hung there. Instantly, the bear's furry hide fell off, and there stood a handsome prince in royal robes. The prince turned to the tree where Snow White and Rose Red stared in astonishment.
Have no fear, Snow White and Rose Red. You may come down now. Let me help you.
Oh, thank God, who are you?
I am a prince of the neighboring kingdom, and this evil dwarf, through the magic in this amulet, was able to transform me into a wild bear, forced to live in the forests. But now that I have the amulet, his power is broken, and I shall put him where he will do no harm. As for you girls, I shall be eternally grateful for the kindness that you and your mother showed me. Please move to my kingdom, which I share with my brother.
The prince arranged for the girls and their mother to move to a new home in his kingdom. 1 year later, Rose Red came upon her sister crying in the garden.
Snow White, why are you crying on such a beautiful day? I am both happy and sad. Today the prince has asked me to be his wife. And that is wonderful. But why are you crying? Don't you want to marry the prince? Oh, I do. Mother has consented. I don't want to leave you. Are you a little secret? While you stay on the house there, I, as usual, have been going to the fields to pick flowers. But many times, I have not gone alone. The prince's younger brother has often gone with me. I didn't know. It wasn't a real secret. But you were too busy at home to notice. The prince's brother and I planned to marry too. But we couldn't say or do anything until the prince was married. Now that this is settled, we shall marry too.
So Snow White married the prince, and shortly after that, Rose Red married his brother. The mother moved to the castle with her daughters, and with her she carried the 2 rose trees. She planted them in front of her window, and each year they bore the finest red and white roses.
So that was Snow White and Rose Red. So if you like, subscribe, share, and comment. Have a groovy day with another video coming out real soon.